I was just thinking, uh, since God is so loving and whatnot, and why did so and so happen, man? And people tend to, leave out the fact that when he plans things, he knows the outcome, and he knows it's a good outcome. So I don't know. Hey, come on. Saying, um, the name is Joshua and Sam, but people tend to leave the part out where his plans are good, you know, and everything that we think about, it's not what he think about. So when we think one thing's gonna go one way, and even if you had like every single plan down to a T, uh, clearly you burn the T because God already he knows everything to come. So he's one step ahead while you know, uh, you're stuck in like you're stuck in like the mindset of getting, I don't know, six figures or something. God is thinking, uh, why don't we just give you riches in heaven, And it was represented in many ways, but I guess people just, ignored it. But God's word is God's word. You have to understand it first to really look into it. Uh, like with Genesis, like Adam and Eve. He loved them, man. I was like your first creation. You know, it's like when you make you create something for the first time, and it's big, and you waited so long to get over with it, and then once you're finally done, this creation just like falls to pieces in just an hour. And from our point of view, yeah, man, that's irritating, you know, deal with. But from God's point of view, it's just like, hey, that's like a minor setback, but I have an idea to just start again. And then you'd have to include God's wrath, which is sort of just like a punishment to carry his will. So you say like you broke one of the dishes in the kitchen and your dad catches you doing it. Um his first his idea is to just buy more dishes. But then his wrath has to come into play and he gonna spank you. So it's kind of just like plan. Are coming. I don't know. I couldn't come up. Plan, action, on to the next. Uh, in that way, it was kind of represented with how Genesis, no, Exodus to Joshua, where Exodus tells the story of Moses, and then I think it moves on to um, somewhere with F, and then Deuteronomy, Numbers, something like that. Uh, it kind of showcases God's wrath, you know, and it was in a way where it was plan, wrath, on to the next. So he had a plan to let the Israelites free. He showed his wrath because they didn't want to listen. On to the next because their children succeeded. And in the same way, where it's the story in Joshua, where it's planned for them to take the kingdoms that belong to them, such as Jericho and those other places that they had taken for the Edomites and Ephraimites and all the people. And it was wrath because Achan had stole some gold and potentially doomed them. And it was on to the next because God still ended up giving them what they needed. And it's this a simple execution that works every time. And think about it that God is not a God of fortuity. So it's this one execution that works in all things, even throughout our ways. So plan, for example, I'll give like 3 examples. You're headed to school just to learn or hang out with some friends. and then head home. Wrath, you have to deal with teachers, your friends who act like probably weirdos, or you could be bullied in school. On to the next, because eventually you gotta go home. Plan, you want to go to church and then have some food after. So you're headed to what's that? Chipotle after, and then you're going home. Wrath, you have to deal with a long waiting line, and then on to the next. You get your food and you go home. Um, and uh, head to the store. It's a little late, but you just want to get there and then head back home so you can buy your food to eat for tomorrow. Wrath, it's too late and can't get there in time, so you're mad and you stomp your way back to the house. On to the next, because eventually you're gonna have to get over that. Like examples, but it is plan, wrath, on to the next. And it's a simple way that just kind of shows that God is not and never will be a God of fatigue. And his wrath comes in many ways, but to understand that to understand it is not our task, you know, because it could be things unforeseen, like debt, or you could be kicked out your house, or they look like a marriage or something. It's just those three, you know, that God works in such a way where the on to the next part is always the blessing, and it's something that you wouldn't expect. Um, But as I said, our ways are not His. So I gave those three examples as like lesser ways, human ways, because our ways are way different than His. So His ways are like universe, but that's just to narrow it down, basically, into three terms. It's not a God of fertility. There's no chance involved. It could be like, what's the chance of him, you know, forgetting that I sinned or did this thing, did that? No, you'll account in your own time, and then it'll be on to the next. Once you finally realize what you did was wrong, and you can move on. But that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. Bye, y'all.